There's going to come a point in your fitness journey when you're going to want to give up. It's going to happen. It's when you're going to be feeling weak. It's when you feel like months and months of work that you've done has led nowhere. You're not seeing any progress on the scale. You're not seeing any progress on your lifts. You're going to feel disheartened. You're going to feel whether or not it's even worth continuing, whether or not it was even worth doing in the first place. That moment will happen, and it'll probably happen frequently. And if you've been in the game for longer than a couple of months, you're going to encounter it. It's the bit that people don't talk about. When they start a program, they imagine themselves in that position where they've had a massive transformation. They imagine themselves feeling positive, looking lean, feeling energetic, and feeling in control of their body. So the narrative is always positive at the beginning, but then at some point something changes. So the narrative is always overwhelmingly positive at the beginning, but at some point in that journey, the story will change. Food gets boring. Training gets repetitive. The scale doesn't always go in the direction you want when you want it to. You start feeling more tired, you start feeling a little bit burnt out. You're bored around the conversations that you're having around your fitness. And maybe there's other things in your life that are starting to impact your adherence to it. So the story changes, the narrative changes. All this leads you to question whether or not it's even worth doing. Today I wanted to discuss exactly what happens when someone reaches that point, what leads up to it, and what can you do as an individual to reverse it? And obviously, my perspective as a coach with over 10 years experience working with hundreds and hundreds of people in London, in our fitness studio, how I approach that problem. Well, it allows me to keep my head cool whilst you feel like yours is on fire. It's such a common conversation that I have on the phone, and often I can feel a bit like a Catholic priest. Someone books in a call with me and they start with all their sins. Father, I have sinned, forgive me. And what that means is that immediately we start focusing on the negatives, which are obviously the things that people want to solve. And it can become, like any fitness journey over time, it can become just a list of things you're failing on. And really, if you failed at the beginning before you started a program, and now you're feeling like you're failing when you're on a program, why even be on the program? What's the point of the journey? I run programs at different lengths, 12-week programs, 6-week programs, 4-week programs. I've run them all. And they can kickstart people's progress, but they also come with a downside, which is expectation of what can be achieved in any time frame. And often the shorter the program, no one buys into a long-term result on a short program, 4 weeks. And so often that narrative where you feel like you're failing doesn't really kick in. But certainly programs of 6, 8, 12 weeks, people can start falling off the wagon pretty quick, particularly on 12-week programs. I've been committing to my own fitness goals 17 years now. And I've been through the ups and downs. Actually, the reason I'm talking about this today is I've had that very feeling in the last couple of weeks. Very, very present to me yesterday when I was doing my own training session, and actually at the tail end of last week. So I run a fitness business in Wandsworth in London, and we've been helping people for 10 years take control of their body. I work mainly with busy professionals. They've got a lot on their plate. They're always trying to balance lots of competing interests, whether it's their family, whether it's their career, whether it's travel, social life, children, wanting things. We've got people, with kids at different ages. We've got people at the beginning of their life getting married, buying houses. There's all these different pressures, and they all want to be fixed. They want to be successful. I work with successful people. And they don't want to be failing in their fitness. But they come in as successful in one area and failing at the other, and then they want to solve that problem, and they want to get it done as quickly as they can. Look, I'm in London, everyone wants to get things done quickly. And, so the timeline that people will operate on, they want to see things happen quickly. Now, when people start feeling like they're failing, it's often because the reality of the journey kicks in. At first, we get a lot of beginner gains, and we call them beginner gains. You start seeing the weight change pretty quickly. I just talked to a guy yesterday. He's been with us 3 weeks. He's lost 2.5 kilos of body fat. He's put on 1 kilo of muscle. Now, obviously, this is via the in-body, and it infers all these things, but progress is in the right direction. That's a quick win. The Question is what's going to happen month 2, month 3, month 4? Well, it could accelerate, it could plateau. He could keep getting those gains for the next 3 to 5 months. But at some point, everything's going to start slowing down. He's going to find that hitting a 1.5 body weight deadlift, which at the beginning says, that's my goal, it suddenly becomes quite challenging because you've got to work through lots of different roadblocks in order to get there. And I think what happens is once you get rid of the low-hanging fruit, that can be fixed by just attendance, can be fixed by just having a little bit more awareness about the kind of food you put in your mouth, by doing a little bit more movement. And most people go from 0 to something, they're going to start seeing progress. The thing is that takes you from something to exceptional, that's a very different skill set. And I think having done this for so long, you almost need to embrace any challenges. You need to embrace that feeling of wanting to give up, because that is the true test of the fitness program. If you can look at the numbers which haven't moved for 6 months, if you can confront the uncomfortable truth that maybe you need to work on something that's boring, if you can just keep showing up and stay focused on the goal, then you're going to take your fitness to the next level. Exceptional progress doesn't happen immediately. It just doesn't. You can't learn an instrument overnight. You can't learn anything of any value overnight. And transforming your body is really, really hard. Obviously, if you have a goal of just pure physique, that is it's one of the simplest and the hardest goals at the same time. It's simple as in the fact that it's, transform your body. It doesn't require the dexterity of an elite pianist. It doesn't require you to have deep, in-depth mathematical knowledge about the universe. But it doesn't always go according to plan. It doesn't work linear. Your body doesn't give you information like a computer. It doesn't do what you want. It's like an unruly dog. And that can make it incredibly frustrating. People who've very high level physiques, they are controlling variables that they've refined over years and years and years. And most people, I'm trying to get them to show up, drink their water, hit a rough calorie target, hit a rough protein target, do their step count. That's base level stuff. Base level stuff will get you pretty far. But when I dig down into why people aren't seeing progress, often one of those basics is not really being attended to. Not consistently, or not for long enough time. Now, there are things that get in the way. There are things that slow the timeline down. And this is where I think you have to shift your mindset. You're probably feeling like you want to give up because you've given yourself that unrealistic timeline. If you're going through menopause, if you're coming back from injury, if your goal is a very elite goal, if you have an illness or you're on medications or something like that, can you achieve a very high level result? Of course. But is your timeline going to be the same as an 18-year-old man? Well, it's not. Okay, let's take menopause for an example. Do you still need to do plenty of movement? Yes. Do you still need to hit a calorie target? Yes. Do you still need to eat enough protein? Yes. Do you need to have good quality food? Do you need to track your food? Yes. Do you need to prepare in advance? Yes. Do you need to strength train? Yes. Do you need to do some kind of cardiovascular conditioning? Yes. Okay. Those are all basic things. Now, are you going to make as much progress as an 18-year-old guy lifting, on the bench press? No. Is your estrogen levels going to affect your fat storage? Yes. Is it going to affect the speed at which you lose fat? Yes. Is it going to affect your sleep? Yes, which in turn affects your fat loss? Yes. Is it going to affect your energy level so that at the end of the day you can walk 10,000 steps to get those steps in? Yes. Is where you are in terms of your career because you're in your 40s, 50s going to affect your stress levels, which then in turn affects your eating behaviors, which then in turn affects your sleep, which then in turn affects your energy in the class? Yes. So there's a lot more moving parts. So with more moving parts, there comes more complexity. More complexity is more brain drain, more decision making, which makes it more difficult to make fast progress. If your skill level is, let's say for example, you're on GLP-1s and you've decided that you want to do a GLP-1, Manjaro or Ozempic or something like that, because you want to kickstart that fat loss, but you've never invested in a strength training program, you've never been taught how to plan and track your food, you don't have any meaningful step counts, you don't sleep well, you don't have any food prep skills, you've never maintained a calorie deficit for any amount of time, then your progress is not going to be in line because there's a magic fix of the drug. It may take off that handbrake and change the pace and add an extra 10, 15, 20% of pace into your journey. It may see you through some of the things that would have forced you to give up early on. But then your job is to develop the skills, and skills don't happen in a linear fashion. So what I would say is if you're thinking about giving up, it's probably because it's starting to get hard. Because now you can't just accept that you're going to make progress from doing basic things all right. You have to get on it. You have to be good. You have to be, it's like if you want to be an average golfer, at first you just need to turn up and play some golf. Figure out how to hit the ball. You know, hitting it 20 yards, 50 yards, 60 yards, you get away with it. But to hit it further, that requires you to turn up more. It requires you to buy better golf clubs. It requires you to get some coaching. It requires you to probably spend a little bit more time thinking about it outside the golf club, right? And I routinely see people who want to give up really not getting down and doing the basics with enough intensity, not giving themselves enough time, and not speaking to enough people to keep them accountable and actually support them on their journey. Because it is going to be hard. You are going to struggle. I've struggled. Everyone else I know who's ever built an amazing physique or maintained a fitness program for any length of time has really struggled. I've just taken, I've just put on our group someone who's just gone through our 12-week program, Stuart, and he spent the first 3 weeks, pretty much 3 weeks. I know he was ill for mainly 2 weeks, but first 3 weeks of a 12-week program, sick as a dog. And he still lost almost 9 kilos of body fat. He made a massive change to his body, but he's not finished. At every point he's on the phone going, oh man, I don't know whether I'll just give up this one and do the next one. But he didn't. He needed to talk about it, and he needed to say to someone like myself, and you know, sometimes we just soak it up a little bit. It's like, yeah, mate, I've been there. I know exactly what you're feeling like, but it's actually going to be all right. You're going to be fine. Just see it through. Just change your timeline. He changed his timeline. He knew he was going to get we got a good result at the end of the 12 weeks, really happy with it. But obviously he's not super elite. He's not in his kind of like cover model state. But he needed to do more time. He needed more time on his journey. That's it. He needed more time where he didn't give up. So if you're thinking of giving up, if you're thinking this is boring me, this is not worth doing, why am I doing this? These are questions that everyone asks themselves when they push themselves. And it's okay to think like that. But what I would say is this is now the time to double down on the skills that are going to get you where you want to go. Because wanting something and getting something is very different, okay? Just because you want something doesn't mean you're going to get it. You've got to actually go out there and do it. And it's really, really hard. And it's really hard if you do it on your own. So get other people in your life around you, you know, get them to support you. Whether it's your personal trainer, whether it's your friends, family, you know, there are other people who can help you get some perspective on it, because when you're in the moment, you will not see where you're succeeding. So until next week, look forward to hearing any comments and any insights that you may have into your own journey and what you've been struggling with, and where I can, I'm happy to give advice. So until next week, this has been Beast of Burden. My name's Paul. Get in touch if you need any help.